Three, two, one. Rolling sound. Who are you?
Name's Dave. Last name's Hammock. Probably the easiest way to explain myself, or the way I kind of look at myself now, um, is I'm a father. Um, God, get emotional already. Um, my whole life gears right now towards my triplets. I'm a father of triplets. Um, they're seniors in high school, getting ready to leave the house. Very proud of them. Um, I grew up an Air Force brat. My dad was in the Air Force, so we traveled a good bit when I was young. Lived in Okinawa, lived all over the United States. He retired, and I pretty much grew up down in Florida, down in Cocoa Beach, Florida. An incredible place to grow up. Learned to surf and lived my life playing soccer and surfing. That was kind of my life growing up. Um, Spent some time in the army after high school. Gave me a chance to mature and go back to college and be a much better student. Out of that, just lived life a lot. Did a bunch of different kind of experiences, different types of jobs, that sort of thing. Um, Found a girl I thought I was going to spend my life with, but didn't quite work out that way. But the benefit of that was getting three just absolutely amazing kids. Um, that is really kind of centered me and put me in a position in life that made me understand what real unconditional love is. Never really understood that until they showed up, and that kind of explains me. Is learning that love um, that is just it's unexplainable. So I would say that's kind of me in a nutshell.
What was your childhood like? What did you learn then that you carry with you today?
What was my childhood like? Well, I touched base on a little bit. I grew up an Air Force brat and moved around a lot, but really my hometown was Cocoa Beach in Florida. My childhood was really pretty fun, to be honest with you. Growing up on the beach, lived my literally my bedroom window. If you look out my bedroom window, it was the river. I could hear the ocean from my bedroom at night. Just incredible. But I grew up, like I said, playing in the water. I was at the beach or fishing or playing in the flats out on the river. It was really a cool experience. In that whole life, of growing up there, my parents were super involved. My dad had retired by that point. My mom was a stay at home mom, so it was really I think people would actually be a little jealous of what I got to experience with having both my parents around. Both my parents were really fun people, very happy people, very positive people. They were constant, ever wanting to learn. One of the cool things about them is they were avid, voracious readers, constantly trying to educate themselves. So they added that to us, growing up, myself and my siblings. So it was a constant opportunity to learn and experience new things. We traveled a good bit, so it was pretty amazing experience. Individual things that I did with my parents. Um, I learned to cook with my mom, which I still enjoy and I do today, but with my kids, which is really cool. One of the things I learned with my dad was a lot of woodworking type stuff. So being able to build and be creative and that sort of stuff is something I very much enjoy, and I do a lot with the work I do, and still do it in my personal life. I do a lot of wood turning and building and that sort of stuff. So and I invite my kids in, and they're not as excited about it as I am, maybe, but they still are willing to put up with the old man playing in the garage every now and again. But growing up, it was an opportunity to learn to take adventure, whatever you could, and be creative and build, and do everything you could in a positive manner. Whatever you could do to be positive was great. So that's kind of really the thing the way I grew up and the way I kind of take it into my life now.
How does a flower grow?
How does a flower grow? Um, Obviously, you could talk about it from a scientific perspective, and I could probably reach back to my biology days in elementary school, middle school, and high school. But to look at it more of a perspective of humans, um, it's a and it's probably something I'm going to dig a little deeper for again, hitting back on my kids. Um, Whether it's the moment you change that first diaper or give them their first bath or um, you know read that acceptance letter for college like I did last night. It's giving that flower or that plant the nutrients or the education or the love or the soil and the sun, whether to try to kind of tie it together a little bit. It's helping digging into yourself as the farmer maybe, or the gardener, to provide everything you can for that flower or that plant so that it will grow and flourish and be really a better flower than you are. So,
All right. I'll have you give me one number between 1 and 100.
let's do 21.
Is what you're doing now what you always wanted to do growing up? If not, what did you dream to do?
It's actually not too far off. What I do now is I work in a marketing agency where we design, build, and activate different live activations or experiences or events. So it's that opportunity to take something creative and build it and then put it out in front of people and actually bring it to life. So that's something kind of goes back to what I was talking earlier, that that's kind of always been what I've liked. I've liked to build and experience and see something come out of that, whether it be something as simple as a drawing that you've sketched on a piece of paper, and then see it live with these consumers walking through your experience. It's a really neat, an amazing experience. So originally, I would say coming right out of high school, prior to going into the Army, I wanted to be an art major. So I still have that creative side. Coming out of the Army, going back to college, realized I'm not that great of artist. So I tweaked it and turned it and changed it to where I could still be creative. So I think I'm pretty close to where I wanted to be growing up. If it were to be any different, I think it would be, work harder, and take more classes on art, so I could do more actual, more fine art type stuff, maybe.
All right. Please give me another number from 1 to 100.
Um, let's see. Let's go 87.
What do you think happens after death, if anything?
Um, I'm a Christian. So I believe I believe in heaven. Um, it's interesting. Interesting question. And at my age, my late 50s, so I've really just recently started thinking about death more. The the fact that I can watch a movie or even look at TikTok or looking at pictures on Facebook or yeah, that's right. I'm still old enough to be looking at Facebook. Um, I'm seeing people that I know are no longer alive. Um, so what happens after? I believe there's a heaven. I believe there's an opportunity to see God, and Jesus, and but what it is exactly, I don't know that that I can comprehend that. But the 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 reality of life being limited is is something that it's really recently started seeping in, and becoming a reality for me. So it's a kind of an interesting thought. It's not something I'm afraid of. I'm really not, but it's something that making me think more, which is kind of fun, kind of exciting. I don't know if fun is the right word to use when you're talking about death, but it's it's something that's a reality. It's everybody's going to do it, so there's no need to be afraid of it. But I'm hoping it's something wonderful and joyful, and that's really where I think I would the best thing I can say about it at this point.
All right. Let me get you to give me one final number between 1 and 100.
11.
What is your excuse me? What is your happiest childhood memory, and what makes it so special?
Wow. Wow, that's really hard. That's really hard. That's funny. I find that harder than talking about death. I had an amazing um, childhood. Um, it would be really hard for me to put my finger on one thing that was my favorite. Just my experience with my parents was incredible. Um, Two of my siblings were much older than me, and um, don't really remember them being around much. I'm still very excuse me, still very close to them, still talk to them regularly, that sort of thing. I don't mean that, but I just didn't really experience them as a child. And I had a sister a year older than me, um, and she and I got along fine. Um, she's great, love her to death. But my experiences and what I always really enjoyed, probably more than anything, were the friends I had. Um, and if we're considering childhood from first memory to you know adulthood, I guess the friends I had growing up, once I hit that high school range, really is where it went to a whole nother level. There were six of us that hung around together all the time. We were nicknamed the Six Pack. I grew up in this little, like I said, grew up in this little town of Cocoa Beach. Everybody knew each other, and everybody in town knew us as the Six Pack. And anybody said the Six Pack are down there, everybody knew who that was. But we spent a lot of time together. We did everything together. In that group, my best friend was Pat Stewart, that lived right around the bay from me. So literally just because the way we're on waterways and stuff, it was, you know, I don't know, just across the bay from me, so it wasn't far. But he and I really kind of grew up together, and he was part of the Six Pack, and he and I were inseparable. I mean, we were best friends. We did, everything together. We played soccer together. We surfed together. We fished together. And we'd go camping. We go hunting out on the islands. We'd do all kinds of stuff together. Um, Individual things. I don't know if this is really the right thing to say as far as one of my favorite memories, but he and I were in a boat together, and we were out on the islands just goofing off, and we were heading home, um, and we had a surfboard in the boat with us, and we're hauling butt. We were going way too fast for the area we were in. We were in a no wake zone, but we were putting up a heck of a wake, and the wind caught the boat and lifted the surfboard up. Well, I was driving, and I said, "Hey, Pat, grab the surfboard." Well, he grabbed the surfboard, and I'm got my head turned watching him do that. And when I looked up, there was a pylon right in front of us, and we slammed and hit that pylon. brought us to a dead stop. It spun him around, and he hit his back on the window of the front of the boat and cut his back open. And I don't know why I'm calling this one of my favorite memories, but um, I think it was that moment that he and I became even better friends, if that makes sense. Um, I think it's because he could tell how upset I was and how worried I was about him. And it had a good gash in his back, and he ended up getting several stitches in it to close it up. But the amount of effort I think that he and I both made to make sure that the other one was comfortable with what was happening, and he was okay, and he was making sure I was okay when I'm not hurt, dude. It's you. You're the one that I'm worried about. So it was an interesting point in my life that at God, I think we were, I don't know, 14 years old, um, and being so worried about my best friend. So it was just interesting. That's if I was going to probably. I know it's a long way to get around to this, but that may be one if I were to try to pick out one thing. But I've got probably 2 dozen more I could tell about about that lifespan and experiences. I mean, everything from cooking with my mom, and I remember her and I getting into a fight with flour and throwing flour at each other in the kitchen, and you know. My dad and I were working out in the yard, and him turning the hose on me just because he thought it was fun, and I remember laughing about it. So there was a million. I was very, very lucky kid growing up.
How do you find me? Excuse me. How do you find meaning in your daily experience? What propels you through life?
You know, not to beat a dead horse, but right now it's without a doubt my three kids. They are uh, they are what propels me right now. I mean, they are what matters. Um, I have to gear my life right now towards them. They are at a very, I think, at a very pivotal point in their life. They're at a really big point of decision making of do I go to college, do I not go to college, what college do I go to, am I ready to move out of the house, am I ready for them to move out of the house, or um, so that is what propels me. Getting every moment I can with them at this moment. Extremely active. All three of them play sports. All three of them are very active in the community. Um, they're all really good students, so a lot of activities around school as well. So I leave the workday, leave the office, and 99% of the time, I don't go home because I'm going to a wrestling match, or I'm going to a basketball game, or a football game, or a swim meet, or an ROTC event, or other sort of academic event, those kind of things. So um, my life right now and what's propelling me through is absolutely um, my opportunity as a father to help these people grow to a point they are ready to make that next step, make that leap, make that move out into the world. So I'm at that ledge, at that cusp of having to let that move forward. So that's what I'd say propels me right now.
What has the experience of living been like for you to this point? What can people learn from your life?
Um, I'm one to experience as much as I possibly can. Probably to a detriment in some respects. I mentioned a little bit earlier about the number of things I've done. Man, the list of jobs that I've had. And it's not like I was jumping job to job just to have the experience. I didn't do that. I was also very loyal to the companies I worked for, and I actually spent a very good amount of time. But I was never afraid of moving from one opportunity to another, um, and getting that experience. So younger ages, first stepping out and doing stuff. I did everything from, you know, uh, working at a fast food restaurant to working as tech support at a software company. I do marketing now, and I've done creative before. I've always been that of that mindset to be. Uh, put yourself out there, get that experience. If you can do something interesting, why not try it, take it on? Even if it's outside of a career or outside of a job opportunity, take classes, do that kind of thing. So that's kind of what the way I've looked at it, and always wanted to have that opportunity is look at things from an experience perspective and get out there and try it. Don't be afraid of it. Go out there and do what you can do to enrich yourself, educate yourself, just continue to grow.
All right. This is the big question and the
Okay.
reason we're here today.
All right.
Life is fleeting. We never know when it's our time. If these were your last words ever recorded, what would you say about your life and your legacy?
What I think about my life and my legacy. Um, from a life perspective, again, I'm extremely lucky. From a childhood that we obviously talked about, that was just pretty amazing. Looking back at it, probably didn't appreciate it as much as I should have then, but was pretty amazing. My experience in the Army was actually an incredible experience for me, and a learning for me. Um, College was just an amazing experience, and I gained some of the best friends in college that I mean, I can't even get my head around how close I'm still to the, these 10 guys that I went to college with. I still see them regularly and talk to them regularly, and we're 30 some years out of college. Um, so I think it would be that you know Dave was a guy that was super lucky, super positive, somebody that loved his friends, and uh, loved his family, as hard as he could. Um, as far as my legacy would go, again, it's a simple one for me. And again, to beat that dead horse a little bit more, my legacy is how well I do putting my kids into the position for them to grow. Me personally, it I want my grandkids and great grandkids probably know who I am, but it's not that important to me. It's really more about what can those three kids, those three adults, in about 3 weeks will be adults actually. Um, what will they be in the position to be successful? Did I set them up? Did I do my part? Did I do my job properly to set them up to be my legacy? That's again at this point in my life, that's the most important thing to me. So my legacy would be not necessarily me, but how I impacted them. Um, Other than that, it's just he loved them unconditionally, loved his family unconditionally, um, and loved his friends more than he can explain.
I'll ask you one final time. Who are you?
I'm Dave. It's pretty simple. I'm just Dave.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. It was pretty amazing.